Welcome to FEMA's Public Assistance Program webinars, presented by FEMA's Public Assistance Training Section. This is a live webinar of the Virtual Site Inspection for Applicants webinar series that was offered December 2020. For more information on these topics and many others, check out FEMA's Grants Portal Support Center. And for any supporting materials discussed in this unit, check out the Damage Information and Inspections folder under Applicant Processes in the Grants Portal Resources tab. You are about to watch the second video in this virtual series. This part will go in depth into site inspection reports and other documentation necessary to support your damage claims.
Hello everyone, and welcome to today's training for virtual site inspections for applicants. Understanding public assistance site inspections. This session we will review site inspection reports and documentation. Our objectives today is to review applicant damages, information, and inspection checklists, review our site inspection reports, and identify and show you where to locate resources and job aids. I would like to draw your attention to the three icons in the upper right-hand corner of our screen. These icons you will see throughout the presentation, so I'm going to define them for you. Our paper icon is for our tabletop inspections. The video icon is for our remote inspections. And the traffic cone is for our physical inspections. So before we get too in-depth into the presentation today, I do want to identify some commonly used acronyms that you may see throughout today's presentation. We have PA, which is Public Assistance, PDMG, which is Program Delivery Manager. This is the individual who will be assigned to you as the applicant and assist you through your recovery process. We have SI, which is Site Inspection or Site Inspector. This can be interchangeable depending on the context of the conversation. And we have SIR, which is the Site Inspection Report. This is the report filled out by either you, the applicant, or the site inspector that captures your disaster-related damages. We have WOR, which is Work Order Request. And this is the scheduling function in Grants Manager and Grants Portal and is the first step in getting the site inspection on the books. It's how the site inspection is scheduled with the site inspector once you and the Program Delivery Manager have decided on a time. Then we have WO, which is Work Order. And this is where all the details of your site inspection will be. So once you have confirmed a date, a time, a meeting location, and that work order request, the Site Inspector Task Force Lead will go ahead and assign it to the Site Inspector, and the Site Inspector will accept it. Once the work order request has been accepted, it then turns into that work order. We then have DI, which is Damage Inventory. The Damage Inventory, this is the list of your impacts to your community. We then have DDD, which is our Damage Description and Dimensions. And this is created in Grants Manager Grants Portal based on that site inspection report and is the foundation of your project. So Unit 2, Applicant Requirements by Type of Site Inspection. What is a site inspection? So the purpose of a site inspection is to capture and record the description and dimensions of disaster-related damages. And we have those site inspection reports, like we mentioned in our commonly used acronyms. This information obtained during the site inspection is documented on the site inspection report. Site inspection reports can be found in the Resource Center of Grants Portal. And I'll go ahead and show you where to locate those at this time. Okay, so here we are in Grants Portal, the login screen. I'm going to go ahead and log in. So here we are at our Grants Portal dashboard. And once you have signed in, you will automatically be taken to your dashboard. To locate our resource center, we want to go to the upper right-hand corner of the screen and click on the question mark icon. Once you click on that question mark icon, an additional window will populate and bring you to our support center. We want to locate resources. So just hover your mouse over the resource box and click. And once we get to resources, we have several subfolders located within our resources tab. We would like to go to FEMA process. So we'll click on FEMA process. We'll scroll down to position guidance. Once we get to position guidance, we'll scroll all the way to the bottom where it states Site Inspector Position Guidance. And then once we're in the Site Inspector Position Guidance folder, you can locate Site Inspection Reports. So to download our Site Inspection Reports, just go ahead and click on the hyperlink. You will then see in the lower left-hand corner, you can open the file. Once you click on the hyperlink in Site Inspection Reports, it will download either to your downloaded files folder, or you may get a pop-up in the upper right-hand corner for downloads. You can go ahead and open that file. Once you open the zip folder, you can then see all of the different site inspection reports per category of work. So responsibilities for a site inspection. So identify what was damaged to FEMA and provide the description and dimensions of disaster-related damages. So responsibilities for a tabletop inspection. For a tabletop site inspection, the applicant should be able to provide the information in the Applicant Information, Damage Information and Inspection Appendix A. You do not have to provide everything on this checklist, but you have to provide enough to substantiate the damage. What will assist the site inspector in the validation process? This includes pre- and post-incident information, such as maintenance records, safety inspection reports, damages claimed in a previous disaster, if applicable, as well as inventory records, along with the specific site information, such as a site map of the damage, GPS coordinates, photos of the damages, any sketches, and specific dimensions and material type per damage component. So at this time, I'm going to pull up the Appendix A damage information checklist and walk through that with you. So as you see here, this is our damage information and inspection sheet, public assistance applicant information. So I'm going to read the first paragraph here for you, which just identifies what this document's purpose is. So applicants must provide information to substantiate the reported damages and debris impacts caused by the declared incident. This document provides an overview of the methods FEMA uses for obtaining damage information. So it includes checklists to enable applicants in providing complete, accurate, and precise information and preparing for site inspections. So here we have our Appendix A damage information checklist. As you can see at the top of the page, you would identify your name as the applicant. You would then identify the damage inventory line item that this checklist is referencing. So again, this Appendix A, if you are doing a tabletop inspection, you will have to complete this checklist for each one of your damage inventory line items that are being conducted by a tabletop inspection. So as we stated earlier, we have that pre- and post-incident information as applicable. This includes any safety inspection reports, damage claimed in previous disasters, as well as inventory records, if it substantiates validation for the site inspectors. As we move down the page, we also have site information. So a map of the damage, GPS coordinates, an address where the damage occurred. This must include a street name, city, state, zip code, especially if identified facilities are located in a rural area, particularly by township, range, section, or road number. All damage locations, including geographic coordinates, should be in latitude and longitude in decimal degree format to the 6th decimal place, as well as a start and end GPS are necessary for damage lengths longer than 200 linear feet. Applicant provided photographs or satellite imagery depicting the incident-related damage site and details of the facility are required. These photos should include the facility and the surrounding area, multiple angles of damaged elements with lighting allowing for clear visibility, a context to depict where the damage is located on or in the facility, an item or stationary feature to indicate size, such as a traffic cone or a tape measure, a description of the location and angle of the photo to include east, west, south, north, and to help a reader stitch together the scene, as well as all damaged sides of the facility. We would also like sketches of sites showing shapes, perspectives, and proportions of incident damage elements. This will include interior damage, such as a floor plan, illustrating the location of the damage in the facility. We would also like information to support inventory of pre-existing contents, equipment, and vehicles. These include numbers, so how many, a type, or a horsepower. For example, if we are claiming vehicles, we would like the make and model of that vehicle, as well as the VIN number and not only the cause of damage, but the physical damage to that vehicle. And lastly, a completed FEMA site inspection report or another document that clearly delineates the same type and level of information depicted in the site inspection reports. These other documents could include a damage assessment report, an insurance adjuster's report, or some sort of technical report such as an engineer's report, so on. So responsibilities for a remote inspection. So remote inspections require a technology tool to perform the inspection, such as a smartphone or tablet, remote technology capabilities, such as the use of Zoom or FaceTime. However, our preferred remote technology is Zoom, as well as connectivity at the damaged facility. Additional responsibilities for a remote inspection include at least 2 people to perform the inspection. This is for safety, as well as for one person to hold the camera or tablet while the other takes measurements and pictures. An applicant representative who is knowledgeable about the facility and the specific damages at the site, including the cause of damage, the specific damage components, and how you as the applicant wish to repair or replace those damages. Now, responsibilities for a physical inspection. So the applicant representative will meet with the FEMA site inspector at the damaged facility to show the inspector the event-related damages. The applicant representative should again be knowledgeable about the facility and the specific damages at that particular site. So at this point in time, we have our applicant resources. So again, I've showed you once where the Resource Center is in Grants portal, as well as where that applicant damage information and damage inspection document is, and the site inspection reports. So at this point in time, since we are at applicant resource, I'm going to go back into Grants portal and show you again where to locate some vital resources to assist you in the site inspection process. Once I have logged in, I'm brought to my dashboard, and I want to go to the upper right-hand corner of the screen and click on the question mark icon. Once you click on that question mark icon, an additional window will populate and it will bring you to our support center. From here, we will go ahead and click on Resources. And we will be brought to our Resources section. We're going to start first with locating the applicant damage information and damage inspection document that we reviewed earlier in the presentation. So to locate that, we're going to scroll to Applicant Process and click on Applicant Process. Once you click on Applicant Process, you'll want to locate the document titled Applicant Information, Damage Information, and Inspection. Again, to download this document, you can just click on the hyperlink, and this will either download for you with a download that will populate on your screen, or you can locate it in your downloaded files. Now I'm going back to our dashboard, and from here, we're going to go locate our site inspection reports. So again, we click on that question mark icon, brings us to our support center. We click on Resources. From Resources, we're going to scroll down to FEMA Process. Click on FEMA Process. Once we get into FEMA Process, we'll scroll down to Position Guidance. Click on Position Guidance. Once we get into Position Guidance, we'll scroll all the way to the bottom to Site Inspector Position Guidance. Click on Site Inspector Position Guidance and locate the folder that states Site Inspection Reports. Again, to download, you can just click on the hyperlink and it will locate in your downloaded file folder. So at this point in time, I would like to review some of our commonly used site inspection reports. So as you see on the screen, this is a site inspection report for Category C, Road and/or Low Water Crossing. First, when you open this document, you have the header. So our header contains the applicant name, the PAID number, our applicant representative who is going to be conducting that site inspection, or who we are working with to conduct the site inspection, and that applicant representative's title. We also have the site inspection date and the site inspector name. Keep in mind, if this is a tabletop inspection and you as the applicant is filling the site inspection report out, you do not have to identify a site inspector name. We also have the work order number and the damage number. So our damages are going to be attached to our work order, and you can locate these numbers in Grants Portal. We have facility, so we're identifying whether it's a road or a low water crossing. And we have those GPS coordinates. So we have latitude and longitude, or a combination of, if it's over that 200 linear feet that requires a start and end GPS. Additionally, on this first page, we have the date damage. This can be a singular date or several dates, a start and end date. We have the age of the facility. So when was that road built? This can be exact or approximate. We also have legal responsibility. So is this your legal responsibility to maintain? Yes or no? And type of road. So we have a few options here under road type, include asphalt, concrete, composite, something of the sort. And if it doesn't apply to any of these boxes, you have plenty of space here where you can make a note of the particular road type. We also have dimensions to include length and width, as well as the number of lanes. So this could include 2 lanes, 4 lanes, maybe it's only a 1-lane road. As we move on to page 2, we have our facility description. Keep in mind to read the small print here. Our facility description is that pre-disaster design, function, capacity, dimensions, and footprint. So on the second page, we only want a facility description. And as you open our different site inspection reports, you will see some of them have some watermarks or some sketch areas that will assist you in identifying that pre-disaster design. So for instance, this is a road. So we have the surface material. You can provide the depth in inches here. The base material, again, you can provide that depth in inches or feet, whatever is applicable, as well as our subbase. If there's an easement, you can identify that here. If you have striping or guardrails, we want to make sure that we know that information. We want to know that design and those dimensions. So you can utilize page 2 for all of that. We'll go ahead and scroll to page 3. This is our facility component damages, also known as our damage details. So as you see, starting on the right side of the page, we have a site number. So identifying what site that is. We have our damage component. This can include material type, make, model, capacity, as well as the location. This could be a physical address or a GPS, and our damage dimensions. There's several different damage dimensions that could be used depending on the damage component. This could be length by width by depth, length by width by height, length by diameter, and so on. And then we also have that cause of damage. So what was the cause of damage for that particular damage component at that facility? We have type of labor here. FA is force account. CTR is contractor, or you could use both if you're using a combination of both your force account labor or a contractor. And then we have percentage of work complete. So have you not done any work on that facility? That would be 0%. Have you cleaned it up and maybe replaced your base and maybe a section of your surface? That may be closer to 85% complete. And then we have those units in quantity. So if we're discussing a road, for road material, we would use cubic yardage. And based on the length, width, and depth of that material, we would identify the quantity. Then we have our method of repair. So in parentheses there, is there a change in design, material, size, capacity, etc.? So what is that method of repair for your road? Are you just going to put it back to pre-disaster condition? Or would you like to do something different that may involve mitigation or something of the sort to improve that facility to make it more resilient in the future for any future events? So page 3 just continues with the different damage components. We get to page 4, which is our sketch page. So like we stated in that Appendix A checklist, we would like a sketch if applicable. This will not only support the damages on the site inspection report, but will also assist with any of the photos that you've provided. As we move down the page, page 5, we begin our special consideration questions. So these involve our mitigation considerations. So as you can read underneath mitigation considerations, FEMA Public Assistance encourages protection of disaster damaged facilities by providing assistance for cost-effective hazard mitigation measures that reduce or eliminate the risk of similar damage from happening again in a future event. So there's few questions that fall under mitigation that we would like you to answer, such as, does the applicant plan to perform additional work to protect damaged facilities against similar damage in the future? You can either state yes, no, or unsure. Let's say you answer unsure. Maybe your comment there would be, at this point in time, we as the applicant are unsure of opportunities to mitigate this facility, would like to request FEMA assistance, or something of that sort. So as you scroll through here, We then get to our insurance questions, and FEMA is legally prohibited from duplicating benefits from other sources and will reduce eligible costs by the amount of insurance proceeds received. So we just want to know, do you have insurance on this facility? Does it cover these particular damages? And have you reached out to make a claim? And have you received funds? So here, does the damaged facility have insurance coverage and or is it an insurable risk? Yes, no, unsure are your options, and you have a section for comments. We then go into our environmental historic preservation considerations. Again, FEMA is required to ensure that work complies with applicable environmental and historic preservation laws, regulations, and executive orders. So there's about 5 or 6 questions underneath our environmental historic preservation that should be answered to assist in any environmental or historic concerns. Then we get to our last page, and we do have a section for additional notes or comments. This would be applicable for anything that may not have been identified in the previous pages of the site inspection report. So you can utilize additional notes and comments for anything that was not captured in the above pages. So I'm now moving on to a site inspection report for category E, buildings, vehicles, and equipment. So this site inspection report is filled out, and we just want to be able to show you what a site inspection report looks like completed versus the one we just walked through. So again, we have our header here that identifies our applicant as Junction City. We have our applicant representative, John Doe, and our applicant representative title. So Mr. John Doe is our city administrator. We will identify that site inspection date and a site inspection name. If it's a remote or physical site inspection, the site inspector's name will go there. If it's a tabletop inspection and you as the applicant are filling this site inspection report out, you can just leave that blank. We then have our work order number, which is number 2, and our damage number, which is number 123. Our facility is a building. We have a GPS for that building as listed. We also have a physical location. We've identified that date damaged, the age of the facility, which this building was built in 1985, and that's an exact year. And the applicant has identified that, yes, it is their legal responsibility to take care of and maintain. As we continue to scroll down page 1, we have number of stories. So this is a 1-story building with no basement. We have roof type, which there are some options there, and we've identified that it is a hip roof. And we have that roof pitch, which for this facility is 912. Again, we then have that facility description. This is our pre-disaster design function, capacity, dimensions, and footprint. So here is a facility description that's well written out. It states City Hall is a single-story office building that includes storage space. The building is a slab-on-grade construction. It has a brick exterior and asphalt shingle roof with a 912 pitch. The approximate dimensions of the building are 60 feet long by 12 feet wide, and it states the see attached sketch for office rooms 1 and 2, showing the location of the rooms that sustained damage due to the event. As we continue to page 2, our facility component damage, you can see that we've identified the site is room 1. Our first damaged component in room 1 is our commercial grade office carpet, which is a standard 12-foot roll. We have a GPS coordinates for room 1, and we have identified the damage dimensions, which are 22 feet long by 12 feet wide. The cause of damage was sewer backup, which destroyed the carpet. The labor type has been identified both. So as you see in the method of repair, we have WC, which is work complete, and the applicant used forced account labor to remove carpet. And then we have WTBC, which is work to be completed, and the applicant will use a contractor to replace the carpet. So that's why we've identified both in that type of labor section. Our percentage of work complete is 50%. So again, as you see in method of repair, due to the percentage of complete being 50%, the applicant has identified that 50% that has been completed was their forced account labor removing the carpet. The remaining 50% to make it 100% complete will be that work to be completed, where the applicant will use a contractor to replace the carpet. As we continue down our damage detail page, we then go to our additional damage components. So again, we have room 1 with a wood sliding patio door. That is our damage component. The location they identified is same, so we can reference the GPS above. And our damage dimensions for that damage component is 6 feet and 6 inches long, 6 feet and 8 inches high, and 2 inches thick. So that door is 6.6 feet long, 6.8 feet high, and 2 inches thick. The cause of damage was sewer backup. The labor type is going to be contractor. So the applicant has identified that the contractor will replace and repair this door. It is currently 0% complete, and the method of repair is replaced to pre-disaster. So the applicant would like the same door, the same make, model, type, and they will just replace it in kind or back to pre-disaster. So you would continue that through this page. And then we have room 2. So we want to identify which damage components are in which particular rooms, and that's why we have those site numbers. So this one being a building, we're identifying those room numbers. Or if you have no room numbers, but a room name, such as a conference room, a foyer, storage room, you could use those within your site numbers as well. So here we have room 2. We've identified the damage component, which are acoustic ceiling tiles, and we've even provided a little bit more detail. These acoustic ceiling tiles are 2 feet by 2 feet. So as we know, there's multiple material types as well as dimensions for different components, especially acoustic ceiling tiles. They could be 2 feet by 2 feet. They could be 1 foot by 1 foot. We want to know what the particular dimensions of those damage components are in addition to our damage dimensions. So again, our damage component is 2 feet by 2 feet acoustic ceiling tiles, but the damage dimensions are a total of 10 feet long by 4 feet wide. The cause of damage is water intrusion from straight line winds, which caused water damage to the ceiling tiles. The forced account labor is the type of labor that will be identified to repair or replace this damage component, and it is 0% complete. The method of repair, the applicant has identified they will replace it to pre-disaster condition or in kind. So they will just return those 2 foot by 2 foot acoustic ceiling tiles back to the same material. And as you continue down this page, we identify our different components. So in room 2, we have ceiling tiles, we have wall covering or wallpaper, and we have a 3-shelf Hampton Bay bookcase. They've also provided us all of the dimensions, as well as the cause of damage, the percentage of complete, the type of labor, and that method of repair. So as we continue, you see we also have our sketch page. So this was identified in our facility description that they had provided a sketch for us. So as you see, the total dimensions of this building are 60 feet long by 12 feet wide. We have room 1, which is 22 feet long by 12 feet wide. And then we have room 2, which is 22 feet long by 12 feet wide. And this has provided us an understanding of where those rooms are within that building. As we continue down, we then reach those special consideration questions. So as you see, again, we have our mitigation consideration questions. So does the applicant plan to perform additional work to protect damaged facilities against similar damage in a future event? The applicant has identified yes, and they have also placed a comment stating that they are considering installing a one-way valve to prevent sewer backup. So that is the type of comment we're looking for these questions. We want it to support your answer, whether you say yes, no, or unsure. We continue down to our insurance consideration. The applicant has identified yes, they have insurance coverage, and they've also placed in the comments that a copy of their insurance policy has been provided to the program delivery manager. And finally, we have our environmental historic preservation considerations. And you would answer these questions yes, no, or unsure. If applicable, keep in mind some of these questions have several questions within a question. So if you're answering yes or no to one particular question, so for instance, if you're answering yes to one particular question, but no to another, you can identify that more clearly within your comments. Let's look at number 4, for example. It's asking, is the damaged facility listed on a local, state, national historic register, or is it a locally recognized landmark? That is question number 1. Let's say no. But there's also another question. Is it older than 45 years? Maybe that's a yes. So maybe we would identify that no, it's not listed on a historic register, but it is older than 45 years in the comment. So this is a completed site inspection report. And finally, we have a site inspection for Category A. Category A, debris, is a commonly used category of work in many events. So it does look a little bit different than our Category C and our Category E. So we'll just do a quick walkthrough here. Again, we have the same questions on this header. You'll still identify the applicant name, the site inspection date, the applicant representative, as well as the applicant representative title, and the work order number and damage number. But as we move down this page, we have our debris removal. So again, we have those site numbers in this column. We have the name of the location, whether it's citywide, a particular street or address that you pick that debris up off of, maybe a park. So then we have location column. Location type can be identified in this key right above to include public roads, federal highway, public right-of-way, waterway, private property, etc. So within this column, you could utilize this key, if applicable, and put in the number that pertains to where that debris was located. Then we have that debris type column. Debris type, we also have a key which identifies different types of debris to include vegetative, C and D, which is that construction and demolition debris, white goods, waste, e-waste, wet debris, any sand, soil, mud, and so on. So you would use that debris type and that key, if applicable, to identify what debris that you picked up at that particular site and location. We also request a GPS coordinates. So you have that Latin long, and you have the option for a start and end if it's longer than 200 linear feet. We then have the dimensions column to identify that length, width, or height. And we have quantity, So generally, vegetative or C&D debris will be cubic yardage. It will be measured in cubic yards. If you have something like white goods, that may be more of an each. So quantifying maybe 6 refrigerators and 8 stoves, etc. And then you have that percentage complete column. So is it 0% complete? Is it 100% complete? Is it somewhere within the middle? As well as that type of labor. So again, we have force account or contractor or both. As we move down the page, we then have disposal. So remember, category A is a cradle to grave category. We want to know where it originally started, where you picked it up, and then where it was finally disposed of. So this disposal, we've identified a site number. If you have a temporary staging or reduction site location, so we would appreciate a GPS coordinates or a physical address for that temporary staging area. We would like you to indicate whether you're stockpiling, chipping, burning, or something else specifically specified. A permit number, if applicable, for that staging area. And who was it managed by? Did you as the applicant have your own employees managing that? Or did you have to hire a contractor to manage that debris disposal? And then down here in the bottom, we have that temporary staging reduction quantity. So this would include anything that you picked up from here. We have our dimensions. But then once it turned to our temporary staging area, maybe you chipped it. Maybe we had 550 cubic yards of vegetative debris. We've taken it to our staging area. We decided to chip it. It's no longer 550 cubic yards of debris. It would be much smaller than that. So we want to identify what that quantity is at the temporary staging or reduction area, if applicable. And then our final disposal location. This again includes either a permanent address or a GPS coordinates. A permit number. We would like you to identify if you're going to be recycling any debris or if you're going to be using any salvage value. And then again, we want that final disposal quantity. So like we stated, if you picked up 550 cubic yards of vegetative debris and you decided to burn it, you no longer have 550 cubic yards of vegetative debris. So what is that final disposal quantity and where is that being disposed of? Moving down the site inspection report, we have a notes page. So any notes that may be pertinent to your debris removal but were not captured in the above page can be identified on this section. And then we have special consideration questions. Very similar to our category C and category E, we would like you to identify any insurance considerations as well as our environmental historic preservation considerations. Again, keep in mind, some of these questions may have multiple questions within each question, so utilizing that yes, no, unsure, as well as the comment section is beneficial. And those are our site inspection reports. And now we have our DH Office of Inspector General hotline. So we hope that you don't have to use this, but in case you do, this is to report corruption, waste, fraud, abuse, mismanagement, and misconduct to the Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General. We have a phone number listed here as 1-800-323-8603, as well as a mailing address if necessary. In addition, we also have procurement guidance, or PDAT. So if you'd like to review the FEMA PDAT website for procurement supplemental documentation, please visit www.fema.gov/grants/procurement. FEMA's procurement guidance for recipients and subrecipients under 2 CFR Part 200 Uniform Rules provides additional details regarding federal procurement and contracting requirements. We also have our support and technical resources at our Public Assistance Grants Manager Grants Portal hotline. You can locate us at 866-337-8448 or email us at FEMA-recovery-pa-grants@fema.dhs.gov. This has concluded our presentation today on the review of site inspection reports and documentation. Thank you for joining us.